Let's unhaul some books. I just realized you can probably hear my dishwasher. Hey, it just ended. Perfect timing. About every 6 months or so, I like to do an unhaul. I feel like the more I read, the more I get to know my reading tastes, and therefore I realize that some of the books on my shelves just aren't for me anymore. I got kind of a lot of books. I really went through them this time around, and I've decided to get rid of a bunch of them. I will say a lot of these I might pick up on audiobook, but I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna like die hard love them. I'm pretty sure I don't need the physical copies just taking up space here. There's also some books I've read that I want to get rid of as well because I just didn't love them. So we got a variety here. Let's just get into it because otherwise we'll be here forever. Alright, starting off with Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. This is a dystopian YA novel, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna be mostly guessing on these synopsises, by the way. I've realized I'm not massively into dystopians anymore. I definitely don't read a lot of YA novels. I also noticed that it's a 4-book series and I really don't want to get into a ton of series that I'm just not that interested in anymore. If this had been a standalone, I might have picked it up, but knowing that it's a series, I just know I won't. And this does seem like it could be really interesting for someone younger, so hopefully someone will see it at the thrift store and will pick it up for themselves. The Bloody Mary Saga by Hilary Monahan. This has 2 books in one about Bloody Mary. I have mentioned this in a video before because I read a chapter of it and really liked the chapter I read, but I have decided that I'm just gonna pick this up on an audiobook, and I highly doubt I'm going to give this 5 stars. And I only keep around books that I give 5 stars. I'm assuming this will just be like a silly, fun, probably mediocre listen through audiobook, and that's okay. Sometimes you need that. I have here Shelter in Place by Nora Roberts. I've never read anything by Nora Roberts. She's obviously incredibly, massively successful. I picked up a couple books by her that I want to try. This was one of them. This is about a school shooting that takes place. I actually just took this out from the library to listen to on audiobook, so I am going to be consuming this one. You'll probably see a review of it in my February wrap-up. Next I have Would Like to Meet by Rachel Winters. I had this point in time where for some reason I thought I was going to enjoy reading romance novels. I don't know why I thought that. I do enjoy a good smut novel, but it has to be pretty dark for me to usually gravitate towards it, and rom-coms are not it for me. This is about a girl who works for a film agency and their biggest client doesn't believe in meet-cutes, but he has to write a script for a romance, and so she sets out to convince him that meet-cutes really do happen. I liked that premise, and I think that's really why I picked this up, because I like things that involve the film industry and screenwriters and stuff like that, but I just can't imagine me getting around to this. I have considered doing a vlog where I read traditional romance and rom-coms, but like also that sounds like torture, so I don't know. Then we have a couple books that I bought in high school and still haven't read. So we have But I Love Him by Amanda Grace, which I believe is about an abusive relationship. We have Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. This is about a girl who repeats the same day over and over again, which is a premise that I love, but I'm not so interested in the YA version anymore. And then we have Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. I believe this is about a 15-year-old girl who dies and goes to heaven, basically. But I believe it's just called Elsewhere. This is like one of the worst covers I've ever seen. I thought it was fine from a distance, but no, the snow globe with the yacht inside, it's so horrendously terrible. So the fact that I've owned all 3 of these since high school and still haven't read them, I feel like means I'm probably not gonna get around to reading them, and it's time to let them go. Beautiful Broken Girls by Kim Savage is about 2 sisters, I believe, who commit suicide, and one of them leaves a message for this guy telling him where to go to find the notes to really figure out the mystery of why they commit suicide. Obviously that gives 13 Reasons Why vibes. I might pick this up on audiobook. It could be a binge read. We'll see. I definitely don't need the physical copy though. Next we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is very popular, once upon a time. I don't hear a lot about it anymore because I feel like we've all moved past this sort of YA stage in life. When I first joined BookTube, I wanted to read all the super hyped things, and this just no longer appeals to me. I have a feeling it's gonna have a love story in it. I'm not interested in that. YA books don't do it for me, etc, etc. You know the jazz. The jazz. I'm just talking. Next we have Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Noel. I have debated picking this one up on audiobook too. It's hard for me to get rid of thrillers. This is about a girl, I already know what happened to her, so I think that might be a downside of this. I've heard it compared to Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, about a girl who's like really going through it and very depressed in high school. But then I think it also like takes place years later and she's looking back on her time in high school and everything that happened to her or something. Next I have Giant Days by Non Pratt. This is a novel continuation of the comic series Giant Days. I absolutely love the comic series. It's about three best friends who meet in college and just kind of their lives and their hijinks and their growing up. The comic series was an absolute surprise and delight for me. I love the girls' friendship. I wish that series went on forever, which is why I picked up the book. But I've just realized like I don't want to change formats for something I'm reading. I have seen many novelization continuations from different comic books I've read and I haven't picked any of them up. So I know I'm just not going to get around to this. Also, the storyline in this book seems very similar to a storyline they did in the comics, and so that also leads me to not really want to pick it up. If I want to read more of Giant Days, I'll just go back and reread it in the comic book form. Let's talk about some more YA that I decided to get rid of. This one is The Geography of Lost Things by Jessica Brody and Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. This one interests me a little bit still. This one doesn't interest me at all. I don't know why I picked this up. It's about a girl who goes on a road trip with her ex-boyfriend. It's pretty thick for what it is, which, how? Like, why are there like 400 pages about this? Oh my god, 450 pages. Yeah, there's no way in hell I would ever end up reading this. Heretics Anonymous, I know, is about a group of students who all get together and they all have very different religious beliefs. I think I probably would have loved this back in high school, but it's lost its appeal to me. I'm 30 years old. I don't know, I just think this would be better passed along to someone more of that age. Oh, look, more way. This one I picked up when I was in high school, so same issues as the other ones. If I didn't read it then, I'm probably not gonna read it now. This is called Crashed Into Me by Albert Boris. It's about three people who all meet online, I believe, and they all have a suicide pact to come together and go on a road trip and then commit suicide as a unit, I guess. Type of stuff I would have loved to read in high school, just didn't get around to it. Then I have Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I'm just out of my John Green phase. Like, it doesn't hold much interest in me anymore. Even at the time, it didn't really. I have read several John Green books and only really liked one of them. I fucking hated Looking for Alaska and only half of Paper Towns was good, so I'm not a huge John Green stan. Next I have Collateral by Ellen Hopkins. I'm just accepting that I don't need to read every Ellen Hopkins book. She was my absolute favorite writer when I was in high school. I have barely read any books of hers as an adult, and I don't need to do this anymore. She's no longer my favorite writer. I can let it go. Next is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I wasn't even interested in watching the movie version of this. I don't know why I thought I'd be interested in reading the super long book version of this. This looks like it's easily 600 pages. It's 550. Romance does not need to be 550 pages, and I'm not a traditional romance bitch. I'm telling you, I'm getting rid of a lot of the same type of books. Next we have, you guessed it, more YA. The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith and The Lovely and the Lost by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I believe this is about a girl who endures some sexual assault at her school. I think I've just had enough of that storyline right now. I'm sure this might appeal to me at some other time, and if it does, I will pick it up on audiobook. Right now, that's just not what I'm looking for in my life. I'm angry enough, you know? This I am gonna pick up on audiobook, but I know, like, I'm still probably not gonna love it enough to want to keep the book. This is about a girl who works as a rescue agent. I don't know what the word is, but basically she traverses different areas and helps rescue people when they get lost, I think, until one day she gets lost and then her dad has to go looking for her. Yeah, or no. Her and her dad go to locate a missing child. I don't know. I don't read a ton of books about survival and trekking through the wilderness, but they do hold a certain appeal to me. I'm kind of keeping this as an audiobook option on the back burner for when I'm really craving one of those atmospheric type reads, but I don't need the physical copy. Innocence by Kathy Coote. There was a time where I wanted all the student-teacher romance. I'm over that time in my life, so I don't need this any longer. I've got 2 middle grade novels here. One is Fire and Flood by Victoria Scott. The other is The Gauntlet by Karuna Riazi. These are both about children who go through some sort of competition. I might try them both on audiobook. I'm unsure. I do love a good competition, but I'm not huge into middle grade. Okay, then we've got A Lesson to Myself, and that is that when I try a chapter of a book, I should probably just get rid of the books because I don't want them. Because these are both from try chapter videos I've done, and here I am getting rid of them a couple months later, after I decide to keep them. The Black Coats by Colleen Oakes and The Sacred Lives of Minna Bly by Stephanie Oakes. Wonder if they're related, that's so random. This is about a vigilante girl group, I think, secret societies and stuff. And this is about a cult. Both of those are subjects that interest me, but not necessarily in the YA genre. And then we have Pretending by Holly Bourne. This is about a girl who's having no luck in love, and so she decides to pretend to be the cool girl. I bought this because the synopsis reminded me of the cool girl monologue in Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. That's probably a stupid reason to order a book. And that's what I'm realizing, because this is not like a thriller, this is not supposed to be dark, this is, for all intents and purposes, looks like a pretty happy YA book, and so I don't know why I thought that would feed my Gillian Flynn loving soul. So I think I'm getting rid of it. I don't even think I'll try that on audiobook. Okay, now let's talk about some of the books I'm getting rid of that I have read, and that I just know I'm not going to reread them. I'm getting rid of both volumes 1 and 2 of Books of Magic by Neil Gaiman and Kat Howard. They're basically the original Harry Potter. The first volume was good, the second volume sucked. Not continuing on with that series. Here we have The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. This is a retelling of A Christmas Carol about a girl who works at this agency where she gets to be one of the ghosts of Christmas, what have you. I believe she's a ghost of Christmas past. She was previously visited by her own ghost of Christmas past. She never learned her lesson to be a better person, and so she died and became the ghost of Christmas past. I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. I read this around Christmas time with one of my friends. I love retellings of A Christmas Carol. I think they're fun, or at least I used to. I'm realizing as I grow up I actually am starting to hate them, so didn't do the things I wanted it to do. Then we have The Passengers by John Mars. This is a thriller about a social media event where a bunch of random strangers are in their self-driving cars and no longer have control of them. This app wants the world to watch what's happening and to vote on who dies. Because basically there's only going to be one person left at the end of this night. I thought this was okay. I'm not a huge fan of John Mars. Both the books I read from him have been 3-star reads. I think if you want something that's fun, easy to read, has like really fast, twisty premises and stuff, I think these are good. But if you're looking for something that has any sort of character development or characters that you're going to believe in or care about, it's not the place to look. And so they don't really stick with me in any way. I did like the ending of this. I liked what it had to say about who's valued in society, especially in terms of capitalism. That was fun, but I'm not going to read this again. Then we have 2 books I read during my BookTube Made Me Buy It, Becca and the Books vlog. This is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I don't love this duo. I just don't. I just think their writing is incredibly mediocre. Very blockbuster. If you're in the mood for something that you think would air on the CW, look no further. Not for me. The other thing was Beck Named Shadow by Katherine Blair. Nothing wrong with this. Just, I'm not going to read it again. I'm not going to continue on the series. It's about a bunch of people who have different powers, and she has a lot of regrets when it comes to something she's done with her powers because she doesn't have full control over them. And basically there's like some training montages, and then she enters this competition so that she can possibly change one of the things she regrets in her life. It had a lot of ingredients I enjoy, but they didn't amount to anything memorable. We've got a couple mediocre thrillers here. Caught by Harlan Coben, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, You Can't Catch Me by Catherine McKenzie. The Silent Patient I found very underwhelming for what I was told I was getting. The twist was okay, not as memorable as people make it out to be. Caught by Harlan Coben was kind of, it feels like a procedural, like when you watch Law & Order SVU or something, except it had some weird tone issues where it would at once try to be funny while also dealing with sexual assault topics. It was kind of bizarre and not great. This one was just like meh in book form. There was nothing good about this or memorable. It pretty much sucked. It's about a girl who gets her identity stolen, and then she like bands together with a bunch of other people with her same name that also had their identity stolen, and I didn't like a single thing about this. Then we've got Strange Exit by Parker Peavyhouse. I don't like simulation books, it turns out. I've realized this now because of this book, and I'm going to stop picking them up. Then we've got My Hero Academia, Volume 1. I like this series a lot, actually. This is a manga about a superhero academy. It turns out this series is an absolute delight, but I am reading it on my phone through the Shonen Jump app, and so I don't need this first volume in paper form. I'll just stick to the digital versions. And the last book I have here is On the Island by Tracey Garvers. This is a student-teacher romance, but on an island because they end up stranded there. When they first get stranded, he's like 15 and she's like 30, but they don't start their sexual relationship until he's of age. There's a lot of survival aspects in this, so if that piques your interest, that's what the book relies heavily on. The romantic stuff doesn't happen until near the end, and by that point, to be honest, I didn't care because the characters were not fleshed out in the least. I gave this 2 stars. I would not recommend it. So those are all the books I am getting rid of for now. It's quite a hefty pile, and I'm excited to make room on my shelves. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you come back in soon. Bye.